I wonder what would happen if Jesus Christ came into this church today and read that to you, or said that to you. How would you react? Probably we would react violently. How dare this man come in here and tell us that we are sinners? And really that is true in a sense. We would react very differently. We would be unhappy with what he says. Why? Because there is a great amount of truth involved in it. And it's not that we were willing or wanting to do this. We don't really see ourselves as doing anything wrong in a sense. Not in today's society. There is that kind of, I suppose, understanding nowadays. The idea, and even in our own church, we're talking about not using the word sin. Don't use it anymore. Why? Because it is a condemnation word. And we're not supposed to condemn anyone. So we have to find a different language to express the sins that we have. It's not going to be easy. I guarantee you that. But that is what they're asking us to do in a way, because society, we're afraid we will lose society by telling them a home truth in a way. That's a bit hard to take. You know, none of us want to be told the truth. Even I don't want that. Because sometimes that truth is what actually will point us to make a change. I don't know if you ever remember when you were young. You would look at something and you want something so badly that you would actually try to get at that particular item. Whether it is the cookie jar, whether it is something that mother is baking, or even your father's gun or rifle. My father had a shotgun, and I always wanted to get my hands on that shotgun. I don't know why, but I wanted my hands on that shotgun. It was the only thing I wanted. And I did everything I could to try and get to that shotgun. Until one day he turned around, took out the 2 cartridges, put on the safety, closed it, and handed it to me. And I said, wow, the guy is changing. He says, I know you wanted it. He knew me more than I knew myself in a way. And in the same way, it comes to us, sin is the same thing. Sin does the same idea. We know we want it. We want these things to happen, and we try and try and try without even knowing that we're actually falling into it. Why? Because we've become complacent in our thinking. We look at the church and we say, we don't need that kind of thing now, Father. We're educated. I love that. We don't need sin. We don't need to listen to what you have to say. Well, we know it all, which is a great way of doing things. I love that. And we know everything, everything. We don't need this world. You know, there's no such thing as sin anymore. Why? Well, you can work it out. Psychology and a few other items will come in and cost you. And they tell you there is no sin. And it creates the same way the disciples and also the Pharisees who are following that kind of idea. And Christ looked at them and says, you know, guys, it's not from without that you're going to sin. It's from within. And the more and more that we begin to listen to the other side, the less and less of the understanding of sin becomes about us. And we can justify sin. We can justify doing someone a wrong because it sounds good, or it sounds plausible, or it sounds right, just because it comes from within. We have become complacent. The disciples and even the Pharisees were becoming complacent. The disciples were eating their meals without washing their hands, a tradition that was done constantly in Jewish times. And yet at the same time they were kind of flippant about it. They just decided, nah, we don't need that anymore. Yet at the same time, Jesus Christ would have washed his hands. He would have followed the actual law at the time. And then when they were asked, of course, why don't your disciples do what they're supposed to do? He tells them, flips the table, why don't you do what you're supposed to do? And that's what we've been doing today. That's what this Mark's Gospel is about. He's asking us to change our ways, to look at what Christ is telling us, and to follow that understanding, that kernel of faith. But of course, the problem lies that we are not willing to change. We claim we know it all. We don't need to go to church anymore. We don't need to go to classes. We don't need to learn more about our faith. And so we decide to say, oh, we know it all, so we don't have to go any further. Or, which is commonplace, Father, we hear the same thing over and over again. Maybe we have to listen to what is being said over and over again, so we may get what is being said. More often than not, we hear it and we shut down. Oh, Father is berating us again today, which is often happening. Why? Because we don't want to listen. I sit in front of the bishop sometimes and we listen with the other priests, and we hear the bishop telling us we should be doing this, 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 and this, and this, and we say, oh, he's the bishop, you know. He's not in the real world. He's up in Tyler sitting in his little castle, and he doesn't know what's going on in the parishes. He doesn't know. So, really, don't back up. He's just waffling on. He needs something to say. And yet at the same time, when you go back home and you sit down and you pray about what you have heard, and you find out, oh, man, I think he was talking to me. I think he's actually picking me out of all the other priests in the whole diocese and saying, you're doing it wrong. And then you realize, man, what have I been doing? I'm reading a book at the moment by Thomas Tejas, and he tells us that in order for us to actually just contemplate, we must first believe what we think is true in the understanding of Christ. That's a nice way of looking at it. We must first of all engage in what he's telling us. If the Pharisees engaged in what Jesus Christ was telling them, they would understand that yes, the traditions and the ideas and the commandments and everything else that we have are pointing us to a greater standpoint with Christ. We just come through God's wonderful chapter in John 6 chapter. The I am discourse, in a sense. I think I spoke to you just before I left to go to Ireland about it and what that means. The idea, of course, is that I am the source. I am he who is. And if you listen to what I have to say, he's telling them, you will not fall into the folly. You will not fall into sinlessness. You will be able to avoid adultery and the other sins that are mentioned in this particular gospel. Because once you have found your foundation, as Thomas Beaton says, you can build your structure on something that is solid. And so today let us pray that we may be able to build upon God's holy structure, what the church is teaching, and be able to follow it to the best of our ability. And if we fail, well, after the confession. So today let us pray that that may happen for us, that we may be able to embrace Christ fully in our lives. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.